Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Get Reelisms Podcast, episode 121. My goodness, where does the time go, everybody? My name is Adam Chase Rani.
And my name is Christine Chen.
And I'm Taylor.
There it goes.
Fuck yeah. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
We're doing it again, and we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you participating in the show. Christine,
lots of things happening.
But more specifically, Taylor, this isn't your first time on the podcast, right? This is your second time.
Second time on
Correct.
the podcast. Yeah,
Yes.
the first time was when we were doing marketing for Ursula.
Correct.
So,
right.
So this is my second time.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And Taylor is going to be talking about her own project this time. So,
Yeah.
but before we do, we got to address some stuff that's happening right now in our industry.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What
Yeah,
could that
major
be,
things
Christine?
happening.
There's only a
Yeah,
couple
strikes,
things happening.
Everyone, strikes.
Who knows?
SAG AFTRA just officially went on strike a few days ago, and we are all in solidarity and we support because there are a lot of heinous things that the studios are asking them to agree to, and so this is, people have been talking about the strike, and it is frustrating because people do want to work, but this is one of those things where you get uncomfortable a little bit so that you can have something better in the future. And but with especially actors and writers, they aren't able to protect themselves when it comes to things with the nature of AI. And so if people don't understand, the non-film people, what's happening is that there are a lot of clauses right now in their contract that does not protect them from future usage of their ideas, their writing, their work, their look from AI. Specifically, there's a clause I read a few days ago about how the studios would like to be able to only pay actors for 1 day, and they scan their likeness, and then the studio can use their likeness without their permission in perpetuity forever with no pay. And if anybody has seen the first episode of the Black Mirror, that's pretty effed up considering that that's what the entire episode is about, yet the studios think it's okay for actors to agree to this really shitty contract. So, yes, of course, SAG is striking, and of course, WGA is still striking. And yes, out there for everybody in the film industry that is frustrated, just remember, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to be able to be comfortable later. And this is a natural progression, honestly, because things in the industry have changed in terms of how we consume media. Therefore, the way our contracts should be reflecting how media is consumed. And so this is a natural progression. When times have changed, the contracts have to change to reflect that. So
Yeah.
But the good news is SAG has issued a list of rules as to what can and cannot happen during the strikes. And if you go to Deadline and if you just search SAG regulations, you'll find that truly independent films, this includes short films, student films, even feature films that have nothing to do with studios, so truly independent films, can go and get it's called an interim contract of some sort, where you are excused and you are not considered crossing picket lines if you have a project such as this.
Yeah.
Which is great. This means that there will still be work out there, and it'll be independent films, and for those who are out there picketing and everything, we support you and everything. And it's important for us to support, because the union set the standard for all projects. Even independent films, we're always trying to go by what the union standards are and to abide by that. So it is important, even if you're non-union or you're indie, it is important for us to support our union folks, because that's what we aspire to be eventually. If you're a working filmmaker, and you want to be in it for the long run, eventually a lot of us all want to go union at some point. So, because that's where all the healthcare benefits and everything else is.
Yeah,
that
help you live like a healthy working life,
Exactly. So, so go and check out Deadline's article so that you know that what productions qualify, because the last thing we want to do as independent filmmakers is accidentally cross the picket line because of our lack of knowledge. And nobody wants to do that. We are all in support of our fellow men and ladies and all sorts of people out there to do it. Yes. Oh, David. David says, I'm scabbing, guys. Gonna go scab.
Yeah.
David.
I understand. Yeah, there's a lot happening. But we're all here's the thing though, that there's a few things that I've taken away from, all sorts of sides of the internet, and even like talking to some actor friends of mine who some are part of SAG, some are not. And they both, you guys, we all know what happens on a film set. We're putting in anywhere between 12 to 15 hours a day, and that also includes talent. Talent has to do a lot of wait, go, wait, go, wait, go, wait, go. And that requires a lot of mental fortitude to get through on
exactly the word I was thinking.
day-to-day basis. And that is, even for background actors too, it's kind of weird to see that a lot of people think that it's like innocuous or something that is just like, okay, well, you guys are just complaining about a good thing that's happening in your guys' life, which, yeah, no, it is definitely great to work in the film industry. We're doing the thing that we love doing, but we prefer to be paid fairly. That's just the long end of the short end of it. And if you have a problem with it, you can look at it two ways. One is that you either just think that, we're just overprivileged weirdos that just want to, just get our acting on, which, that's such a weird fucking like such a oversimplified way of explaining shit. But the second part to that is, what is it that we all don't want in fairness when it comes to our workforce? That's what I'm not quite understanding. That is like, everybody wants to be part of something that can guarantee them equal pay, can guarantee them every person, every human being is entitled to the sweat of their brow. They have absolutely every right to be paid fairly by the amount of output they give. So if you put in a lot of output, you put in a lot of time, you put in a lot of investment, I think it's fair to say that you should be compensated for that time. And it's strange to see people not really with that. I'm very not like understanding it. And even talking to some friends of mine, there's even actor people who go on Facebook or Twitter and say, like, I don't know, I just want to go back to work, guys. I don't want to cross picket lines here, but I kind of just need to get back to work. That's a very silly thing to do, because we're all trying to fight for the same rights to have fair and equal pay. Because again, who doesn't want fair and equal pay? That's you. Either of y'all could tell me that's not a Democrat or Republican idea, but I think that's a universally accepted idea to be paid fairly. Am I missing? Okay.
Yeah. No, I think
it
with
is.
anything,
It is.
Yeah, with any industry, anywhere, we want to put in, a certain amount of hours, and you get a certain amount of output, and it is disconcerting when within the industry there's a hierarchy and there's a top 1% studio execs that seem to reap the benefits of everything, and then none of that is distributed out to the people who are actually doing the actual work. And I think that's a big part of it. And what non-film people see, and it's not y'all's fault or anything, it's because of what is available to you media-wise, is you see the celebrities and everything, you hear about their pay rates and whatnot, but you have to understand that is maybe, I don't know, a very 0.5% of the entire
very small
class of actors that are working. And there is, especially when it comes to art, there's so much work that is done that is not even counted within the hours that we're actually working on set. If you think of it, when actors come on set, sure, they know their lines, but how do they know their lines? They know their lines because they've spent all their off time that they're not getting paid for learning their lines. The writer, sure, they might be spending weeks staring at a computer with nothing written on their computer, but that is the process that you need to go through to get to some amazing, genius or whatnot. Taika Waititi specifically said, staring at my computer for 2 hours where there's nothing on my computer is also writing. There's a process, and these are all things that we understand as part of the job, and we do not get compensated for. And so it's even more frustrating when you're seeing this unequal balance of money and why the actors and everything are fighting for residuals, for example. When they're in between stuff, they're auditioning. Do they get paid to audition? They do not, And so to get a job is very difficult. And so those residuals allow for actors to continue to make a living while they are in between jobs as well. So there's a lot of things that people are fighting for. So we understand that it is difficult and everybody's just trying to survive. So for those who are non-union, just be understanding that the unions are fighting for a better way of life and just fairness, really, for the work that they're putting in. And as long as you go in and read the rules for SAG and stuff, just make sure you're not crossing picket line. That's all. And luckily, SAG has been very, very good. If you look at the list, if it's not a union related, it's truly independent, you can still do production and everything. And the best way to do it is to check with your reps and make sure, hey, just wanted to see if this is allowed. Do a courtesy so that, because in the end, it's not the production that gets in trouble. It's the actors that get into it, that get in trouble. You don't want that to happen. So go in and just check in, and then, let's all just be understanding. Union people also need to be understanding that yes, people do want to get back to work, and maybe what it is that, with the independent work that's available out there, that will allow, us to draw this process out, because union people can obviously take those, whatever. I don't want to get into politics, but just we all have to be understanding about what we're each fighting for. So it's important. Yeah, it is important.
It is. Yeah. Yes. Very important.
And we're talking about that too because Taylor will be raising money soon for her short film, and yes, Taylor, talk a little bit more about that and the process and what it's called and all that jazz.
Yeah, so it's the pilot for a limited series. It's called Love, Angie. It's a 5-part series, but we're just trying to get the pilot out there to start with. And essentially, it's about grief and how people cope with things differently. And so it's an ensemble cast, so there's not like a main character. some of the characters feel like they're the main characters of like their life, and so they take up a lot of space. And then we have a couple who are like fading into the background and just they're all trying to cope with like this really traumatic thing that happened, and they're all struggling because they keep on running into all these obstacles with each other, and they have problems with how the other people are coping. And so it's written in a way that basically is like just trying to consolidate people's different methods of coping.
Cool.
And
Nice.
yeah.
And how long are you planning to shoot the project for? Who's involved? How long have you been working on the project?
So it's a 6-day shoot. 6-day being a pickup day. So we have 5 scheduled days, and then the 6th is going to be a pickup. It's I've been working on this for, the first first iteration of it was actually written when I was in film school with you, Christine, for a project that I had to do where I had to like direct a scene. And so it was a scene from that, and then it just it went from like a little scene that was about one thing, and then turned into a 5-episode series on something almost completely different, but based on the characters that were in that scene. And so I've been working on it for, a year and a half to 2 years, putting together the story. My sister has been the best sounding board in the world for the entire thing because she's been there since the beginning. So she's actually ADing the project.
Oh.
So Sydney is going to be ADing for me. And then Jacob Stone is my director of photography. He's also been on it with me for a long time, listening to everything, giving me advice throughout the way as it's changed too. And so he's on board. I've got David Gutierrez and Ben Marchie Hilton on sound. Tori Rice is gaffing. And honestly, I've got a pretty solid just crew lined up in general. I'm really, really excited about like the people that want to be involved. My cast is incredible. We cast it super early. Yeah. And so they've been involved in the process for a good bit of it, getting to know these characters more than I even know them. So it's been a really, really intense process, and but been really fun, especially like I've had so much happening in my personal life that like I wanted to be a little further along than I am currently, but I'm kind of just taking it all in stride and doing it as I can. But I started it super early because I was really worried about time, and I always want to make sure I have things done in like a timely manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with anything with small productions, if you don't have money, you use time to help with the production process. I mean, that's just always rule of thumb. It's either money or time. And
yeah.
Usually we have our time.
Time.
We take our time. Yeah.
Usually not the money.
Yeah. Usually there's no money. Usually you just have your own time. Yeah. So, well, cool. That's very exciting. I think
Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to make a comment that I think the most fun part about filmmaking is this process. It can be really frustrating, but it's fun when it's like, oh, your friends or the people who support you that come and make the crowdfunding video with you and stuff like that. It's exciting, and it's this sense of community.
Yeah.
That's what I've missed and love about Austin in the South is there is a good sense of community amongst the filmmaking folks.
There is. There really, it was the best, definitely the best place that I could have learned any of my craft from. Yep. I mean, like, it's extremely welcoming. Everybody wants to teach you something without being condescending, without being rude. Like, I mean, and for my, and I felt like, and I told Christine this as well at one point, felt very ambitious going into doing like a series pilot. I've been in the business for what, 2 years maybe? Not even quite. But like I just like to keep moving forward. And so I'm like that's really ambitious. But then I've had friends around me in the business who have constantly been reading the scripts, being like, no, we can do this. This will work. We can make all this happen. And just the amount of like respect and kindness and like the directness too. Like the directness is really important. Like maybe we can't do this, but we can do this. And like that's been really like invaluable to me. I mean, and then when we filmed our pitch video, it was at my house here. We had just a bunch of food out for everybody. Everybody like had a good time, stayed for the entire, like, I think we filmed for only like 3 hours, and everybody like stayed and had a good time and became like, you know, really good friends. It seems like everybody's known each other forever, and they haven't. Everybody pretty much just met. So it was a really, really cool thing to be a part of. And the people are why I'm so excited about this project. Like, and I really want to see it succeed. Like, the people who have put so much time into it already deserve to see it pushed through. Is the big thing. Because I've had massive amounts of just like support for my project in the past year, and I can't ask for anything more than that, except for to actually make it now. Actually put it through.
Yeah, I think that's I love that part of making something and seeing the community come through. And I myself went back to the South, also Texas and Louisiana, to make my last 2 projects because you can't, the community, it's family, film fam, and film fam is important. And when you're starting off in this industry, I think that's the part that will determine whether or not how you will succeed in industries, if you're able to have a group of people that support you, because nobody can do this alone. It takes so many specific skills. It takes people coming together, you know, donating props, donating their time, donating knowledge and everything. And so building up your tribe, your film fam, is so important to, I mean, career survival, really.
It is. And that's also been a lesson in all of this too, is I'm bad at asking for help. I'm having to learn to like ask for help, so I'm not just like sitting by myself figuring it all out, even though I do most of it, like, but figuring it all out by myself. Like, I've had to learn to like straight up ask people for help with things, and like I used to be so bad at that. I feel like this is helping with that a lot. Like, yes. Definitely teaching me the asking for help lesson.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christine. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, have you found ways to get past the having trouble asking for help aspect? Because that's a common problem. I mean, I have that all the time still.
I have a lot of trust in the people that are around me. And so it's been, and it's not that like I never asked for help because I didn't trust people. It's just that I just have a really hard time asking for help in general, because I feel like, I guess it's the pride thing, and the like, you know, the worst they can say is no, but if they say no, then I feel bad for asking type deal. And so and I'm really independent. And so the thing that made me get over it the most is, I guess I had a few people offer help first.
Yeah.
And instead of my instinct to be like, no, I got it, I forced myself to take a breath and say, yes, actually, I probably need that. And so I think accepting help that was offered first was the easiest way for me to get over the asking for help, because once I knew that and I had proof that people were willing to like put in the time to help me with things, or people felt also strongly about it, that it was easier to go back and ask them for it. But it was like a mental exercise in accepting the help first, and then like it's kind of a segue into potentially asking people for help after that.
Yeah. And I think if you go in thinking about, hey, giving it back later as well, or knowing that you will, as I think that also helps. Like, okay, I know I owe these people, and when the time arises, I know that I will be there to help other people and stuff. And it's this continuous cycle of like receiving and giving, right? If you
Sure.
you put in what you give, and I know you, Taylor, have put in your time in many projects helping other people out. So it is only fair that you get the help that you need right now. So.
Well, and I love doing it. That was another thing I was gonna say is I love when people ask me for help. So I feel like I should assume that some people also feel good when you go ask them for help. And so I guess it's another like mental thing you could always think about too. Like with asking for help, it's like people are like, "Oh, can you help me out with this project?" I'm like, "You want me to help? Yeah, sure, let's do it." So it's only like fitting that not everybody loves to be asked for help. Like that's not what I'm saying, but like other people will, be like flattered or like really accepting and want to help you out because they're like, "Oh, you asked for my help? Very cool. Like I'd love to help you." And like I said, I've been very fortunate with people wanting to help out on this project, and it's about mental health too. And so I feel like, it becomes like a passion project. It just in that sense, like, because it's a different side of grief. It's not like it doesn't really show like the really dramatic fits of grief. It shows more of like the mundane after effects of like you still have to like do everything that you would normally do. And some people don't understand that. Like one of the guys keeps trying to have like these dramatic fits of drama, but everybody else is just trying to like be like, I have to do dishes, I have to do laundry, I have to go to work, like, and you're here doing this. And it's not that any of those things are wrong, it's just that they clash a lot. And so so from everything that I've heard about feedback, it's a different kind of view of grief. And so I think when a lot of people read it, they're like, that's important, and they want to be involved in it just because of the mental health aspect of it, because we just don't see enough that it involves men's mental health and stuff too, which there's not a lot of like healthy men's mental health like stuff out there. And so I think like people want to be involved in it because of that. And then also I will always return favors all the time. Like I love helping people with their stuff. So
yeah, it's a community. That's what it's about. It's a community, and we take care of each other, and that's how we get through anything, really.
Yeah.
We get through hard sets that way. We get through strikes. We get through dry spell. That's just how it goes.
Solidarity.
Solidarity. That's the only way to make the community stronger. And and I think at this, just a little bit of segue, because something popped up on my feed about the strike, and it was somebody commenting Twitter, and we can't get mad, it's just ignorance, but it says millionaires striking to be bigger millionaires, and that's really hurtful because but I think this is our time to educate people. We can't be we can feel what we feel, but I think it's important that if people don't understand, that we teach them why that's incorrect. And so for those who are trying to struggle to understand the strike, people are striking because there are places in the contract for actors, for writers, that do not reflect equal pay. And when you're thinking millionaires striking to be more millionaires, you're thinking of the top 1% of a giant group of people who are getting paid. And you can't judge the entire representation of actors and writers from a few outliers, you would say, so get to know an actor. Go and ask an actor what it's like actually to survive in the industry, and that you will be sorely surprised. I mean, one big thing that somebody explained to me when it came to writers that I was like, oh my God, was when a lot of writers go in to a writer's room for like a series or whatnot. Traditionally, they're guaranteed payment for a certain number of episodes. But our streaming because of streaming, the way we consume media has changed. That now, instead of, like your sitcoms, oftentimes they'll continue to write, and there's many, 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 many episodes that are made. Now things have been cut short because we as consumers like to binge things. And now they like to already have these whole episodic series made all at once so that people have the ability to binge stuff. And it's cut the number of episodes in a season. Well, that if your contract reads that you're being guaranteed payment for, let's say, 20 episodes, but the series only shoots 10, you're not allowed to go and seek other employment because your contract is still for 20 episodes. So these are the things that, writers are fighting for. Can you imagine if you were working for a company and you were promised, oh, you get to work for, for 2 months, and then actually you work for 1 month and you're only paid for that 1 month, yet you're not allowed to go find other employment for the other 1 month you were promised because of your contract. How would you survive financially? You can't.
You can't. You literally can't.
Right.
Yeah. And so there's these little changes that people are wanting in their contract. Same thing when it comes to SAG contracts. Can you imagine if you were working and AI comes in and takes over what you've been doing, and they scan you and say that, hey, now we can only pay you for that 1 day of you, and then we can use your likeliness and your what you look like and how your mannerisms, everything forever without ever having to pay a single dime? How would you make a living? You can't. That's the end of your career, basically. Which really sucks,
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things out there. So
there's a lot.
Before you make a comment on Twitter, social media, or whatever, there are repercussions for that. Like, I wish there were bigger repercussions, but go and educate yourself, and before you make a ignorant comment on
seriously
any of those platforms.
Yeah. Sorry, were you done with your point, Christine?
No, that's it. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. There's a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead. One more time.
I said, no, that was me on my soapbox. So.
No. Yeah, totally. Well, because it's true. It's absolutely true. I do have one question for you, Taylor, about the series, but there's one thing I wanted to add to all of this. This came in just about like a couple days ago. Bob Iger had an interview on MSNBC, and he talked about how the actors are not being forthright and actually coming towards the table and agreeing to any terms. Like, let's just get this all over with, right? Let me remind you guys. Bob Iger's net worth is currently sitting at almost $700 million right now, okay? What the writers are asking for is just the tiniest of tiny percentage, which is $430 million. Now, before a lot of people are going to be like, $430 million, that's a lot of money. Remember, there are anywhere, but I think there's over 40,000 writers in the Writers Guild. I might be wrong. I'll look at that right now.
I'll look at it. You keep talking.
So that being said, you have to understand that for a percentage of what these studios actually make, just a percentage of a percentage of a percentage can go towards the writers, which, let me remind you, they're not looking to get rich. They're not looking to get rich. It's just...
They just want to survive.
Exactly. They just only...
20,000.
So there's 20,000 people. So even then, like you have to understand that this is only about fair and equal pay. Again, Are you not entitled by the sweat of your brow, ladies and gentlemen? You are entitled to all that work and everything, including actors. And actors, this is a monumental thing for all of us, and I know it's like all over the news and whatnot, but the fact that Bob Iger has basically dismissed the entire 2 unions of people who demand fair and equal pay, has said, hey, kick rocks, idiots. It's a skill issue. Get better content, fucking idiots. It's basically what he's saying. So take that with what you will, but that's just the honest truth. Now, let me add just one more thing on top of that, just a chef's kiss of it all, right? There is an article by somebody, I don't remember who, but they were left unnamed. This was a Hollywood executive, and he said, we will be going about this for as long as it can until we starve writers and actors out of their homes and get them out. Now, let me tell you again, ladies and gentlemen, is this the right thing to do? Is this something that we should just accept because, well, I mean, get better content, right? Writers need to write better content, despite the fact that there are better content out there. There are great independent films. Check out Ursula, available at VOD right now. That's great writing as well. But you're not going to see it because it's not, you only see billboards of Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? And you're like, oh, these are the only movies that came out during the summer. It's like, yeah, well, no. There's plenty of other movies and there's plenty of other content that you can absolutely enjoy. So without those actors and without those writers, you're not going to get that. But like what Christine said, you're definitely going to get AI. And you're definitely going to get maybe ChatGPT to write the scripts to everything. And then we're just going to have that and just settle with that. Just
it's
artistic.
Terrible.
It's going to be horrible. And everybody knows that. But it's so weird how many people, especially like that Twitter comment that Christine brought up, that it's like, oh, well, you guys are just, oblivious and you're ungrateful of everything that's good going towards you. It's like, well, how can we be ungrateful when we're not even getting paid in the first place?
Right.
So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And we're only asking for a few pennies on the dollar. You know what I mean? It just, that's very weird. It's a very weird thing for Bob Iger to do. And it's a very weird thing for what I assume a lot of Hollywood executives share the same sentiment of, hey, let's just starve out all these people and just make them get back to work by the fall, basically, because at some point they're going to need to get back to work, which if anything, you guys, that should spark even more inspiration to just go and support your unions, support the Writers Guild. And for anybody who doesn't know how to participate in all this, there's, I think it's called entertainmentcommunityfund.org. That you can donate to help people and actors and writers and all that who are very, very, very affected by these strikes, can be compensated a little bit so that they can continue doing the right thing and picketing and working and making sure that they are going to be there in every single studio every single day to make sure they get the rights for better pay.
Yeah, there's a Twitter post by, I'm not sure who Daniel Quan is, but it summarizes it really well.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It says,
Daniel Quan?
Yes.
Yeah. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah.
Is it?
Director.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's about writers getting their fair share. It's about maintaining a healthy middle working class of writers in our industry. It's about showing our collective strength as new tech threatens to take away our leverage.
Yeah.
So that's why people are striking. So it's just it, and I think the best way for people in the industry to do their part is to educate those who don't understand. Take the time to explain. I've seen a lot of great posts from actor buddies who are kind of breaking down what they make, and it's eye-opening. They're like, okay, I make this, and it seems like a lot, but then I have to pay my agents, my manager, and then I have to get, headshots and all this other stuff. And once I'm done, this is what I actually make,
And then if you're non-union, you make maybe minimum wage.
Oh,
Like, if that.
Probably less.
Like,
probably less. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, so it's like, then you think about that, and it's like actors who aren't quite union yet are making pennies. I mean, and so trying to get their careers off the ground.
So let me ask. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Taylor. Go ahead. Finish your
I
point.
just have a very small soapbox thing.
Please.
Play soapbox. Yeah.
So my biggest problem with all of this in general is that our entire lives we're also told to do things for the art and stuff like that. And so the starving artist idea was so romanticized growing up. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody thought that like that has to be a rite of passage. Like that has to be like what you have to do in order to be successful. But it's very cruel to try to like put that on young people and be like, oh, like you have to have like the starving artist thing first. That's how you earn your way, and like you do it for the art and stuff like that. It's like you can't survive on doing it for the art. Like
No, it's a business.
It's still a job. Do we love our jobs? Yes, but we put out content that other people are obsessed with viewing. Like, I mean, it's the entertainment industry is massive in its outreach. And so it's like for doing all of this work for other people, it takes all these long days. We don't have time to do all these other, like a real job for a living to make our money and then also spend 15-hour days making things so people can watch it at home. I mean, and so I think very like doing it for the art has always been such a frustrating phrase for me because we love it, but it is a job. It has to pay our way so we can continue doing it. And so that's my little soapbox thing. I'm done.
No, you're absolutely right. It's very strange how we like take that as just like a semi like hazing stage of what people have to go through. It's like, oh, you have to eat ramen for the next 4 or 5 years. Like it's already a struggle enough to do the art as it is already. I don't think we should be starving to do that said art. You know what I mean? It's like I think living within your means is I think fair and justified enough to actually have the time to make that said art. You know?
Yeah.
Because
I just think that there's just it's in any industry that's with art is non-art people. It's hard for them to see it as a product. And it's just like any product that we use, you know, in this world. Yeah, toilet paper, whatever. It's a product. And to create that product goes through a process, whether that's R&D, your research and development, through marketing. All of that takes resources for it to come to your household and become a product. And so why, as a society, can we understand that it takes a certain amount of money to get certain products to you, yet when it comes to art, you can't see that it's the same exact darn thing. It's a product. Yeah, so it is a business. Yes, it's more creative and there's a different process behind it, but it is a product that we consume, and if we consume it, it shouldn't be free because there is a team of people behind that product that's making that available for you to enjoy. So that's what it is, you know. Just because someone enjoys doing their job or has fun doing it doesn't make that job worth any less. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
100%.
Yeah, and that's the part, you know. And you have to remember the media is only going to report on stuff that is clickbait. So it's a lot more interesting to hear that Tom Cruise made this amount of money on this film versus hearing about how these 50,000 other actors earned zero money on these other films that made zero money, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that is the majority is that. So for those out there who are wondering what, and again, all folks that are non-union, we have to be very understanding as well. I think I was in this boat, especially when you're not in LA or New York and you're separated from it, you seem, oh, like we're far away. I'm in Texas. Why do I have to care about what's going on with the union? I'm I personally work at independent films mainly and stuff like that, but it's a standard. And if it's like, if the big dogs are doing it a certain way, that gives inspiration for everything else underneath it to operate the same way.
Same way.
Yeah. So if the industry standard is to pay people nothing, then people will think that that's okay, and it hurts everyone. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
And also it's a trickle down effect. Many of the people who are in the union are the reasons why there are indie films. They, like a lot of us, we go in, we work our crew job, cast job, whatever it is, and so that we have the money to make our passion projects, right?
Yeah.
And to support that. So when things are striking, that's why things dry up, because all those people aren't getting work. So they're not doing their
passion projects. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it hurts everyone. So that is why you need to care as well, even if you are not in the union and you're just in the union and, oh, it's fine, we're in independent films or whatever. But like, it is only together are we stronger as a community and as an industry. So
yeah. I mean, and that's just the way it goes. But it also applies outside of even the film industry too, right? Because if you have any, like, let's just take the East Coast for an example. Starbucks has finally built a union for Starbucks workers in the East Coast. And that is a major thing that we all need to be talking about every single day, right? Because that means that even you, yes, you who are watching everything, and all of our content, which we appreciate, subscribe, please, and like. We all want to have the same umbrella of rights to do the thing that we love doing, or work the job that we work at, and be guaranteed the pay, get guaranteed the benefits in everything. So, if anything, I hope for people to see that two of the biggest unions in America can come together and join forces to basically picket under the same idea that we need to get fair pay and equal pay. This should be a sentiment that applies to anyone in any field of work and anywhere, even McDonald's. Doesn't matter. Like you like the idea of unionization is fundamentally a bipartisan idea. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's just the right thing to do. It's just the absolutely right thing to do. So, yeah, I mean, even to those who are non-union in the film industry, this should serve an example. But everywhere else, everywhere in the world, even UPS is under strike right now. And not a lot of people know about that. A lot of the union, the Teamsters couldn't come up with a deal for the UPS workers. So the UPS workers did the right thing and say, no, fuck this. Like, the billionaires are making way more off of our backs. We don't even have working ACs to deliver these said packages. We have to, and Amazon, same shit. They have to piss and shit in boxes in order to make their quota, or else they're going to get fired by the end of the day. And they have no job, and then they can't feed their families. You know what I mean? Like taking a 10-minute break just to use a bathroom and then you get fired for doing that? I don't know, you guys. Like, I'm a little confused. I'm a little baffled by all that. I think
very, very fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very fucked up.
But that's why, like, for everyone who is like, oh my God, you guys talk about strikes all the time. It's all about strikes. It's like, yeah, this is important for everybody because this is an example. This is history in the making, y'all. This is insane. Like, we had since the 60s, we haven't had two unions like coming together to unite for one cause in picketing and whatnot. Hasn't been like that since the 60s. The 60s, when Ronald Reagan was the president of SAG AFTRA. That's stupid. And that was for the argument for residuals. Can you imagine that? It's like that was the turning point for people to actually make money doing the work that they put in. Now we're arguing for the same shit, but in streaming.
Yeah, but
That's crazy.
yeah, but that's just the natural order of things, though. Like, once when history repeats itself, sadly, but when technology changes, people are learning how that technology affects the way we go about on our daily lives, and so naturally, there is going to be a resurgence, and I need to reevaluate contracts and make sure it's modernized. You know, um,
Totally.
yeah. So this is not people were like, oh, why are we striking again? It's not. This is it's not as often as you think. It's just this is literally. It's like how anybody in business renegotiates their contract when times have changed, or why
Yeah.
when there is inflation, why people expect their wages to go up to match that inflation, stuff like that. If we were still making what we were making and our contracts never changed before, then we would not be able to survive. This is the exact same thing, just different types of contracts. That's all. Just think about that. If you're a non-film person, you expect your contracts to reflect what's happening with the times at that moment. So why wouldn't you expect that to happen with film contracts as well? So for those who are struggling to understand. But yeah,
Right.
enough soapbox. But
Right. Yeah. I think we got our point
trying to
across.
educate, yes.
Yeah.
We support the strike, and
We support in
that's what's
solidarity.
important.
And please go support independent films by donating to Taylor's crowdfunding campaign. Where will it be, Taylor?
Seed and Spark, and then you can find it though. We have social media, Angie the series on Instagram, and then Love Angie on Facebook.
Yes.
And then we'll be keeping that updated and doing a countdown and stuff like that too as soon as the campaign's approved through Seed and Spark.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
And we'll, if I would like to drop that link into the description too on the Facebook stream, so that people can have access to that.
Please, yes.
I wanted
Leon
to.
just joined. I'm very excited. Leon's was on our podcast before. He's in the UK.
Yeesh. Welcome. Welcome back.
Effects. Yes.
I do have a couple questions, unless Christine, we got to fuck off.
We don't have to fuck off yet, but
Okay.
maybe another.
Well, it's just like I feel bad for having this strike overshadow Taylor's hard work on her limited series, because I wanted to.
I don't care.
No, well, I care because this is because writing is a big deal for me, and I've always loved talking to people about the writing process in which like they made their scripts or pilots or everything. Did you? So you wrote the pilot. Are you writing the entire series? The limited series?
The entire series is already written.
It's already written, and it's written by
How
you.
many pages per series, or how? What do you think the runtime will be for each episode?
About 50 minutes. About
50
40
or
40 to 50. 50, like 50. Like an
for
hour
each
long.
episode?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
So it's being cut down a lot for the pilot for
Yeah.
the first one that we're doing, but then it's gonna be a regular like 40 to 50 minute runtime on the rest of them. Obviously,
you're making several, maybe like how many episodes are there?
5.
Oh, so almost like 2 features, right? 2, 3.
Yeah, it'll be
That's a
something
lot.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with it.
Don't let that discourage you, Taylor. I mean, good
Oh,
God,
God.
Christine.
It takes a lot.
Wow.
To
No, that's awesome, Taylor. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like a lot of times, like there's not a lot of love when it comes to people who write like an entire series just solo, and that's exactly like what you did. I mean, so walk if you can, walk us through the process of the inception of the idea, because it didn't root from the director's exercise, right? That you're supposed to do, like the director's project. It came before that, right?
Uh, yeah, so it was a short story I wrote from a dream that I had.
Oh wow. Okay, that's awesome.
It was just it was all just like it was one scene at first. The short story is one scene, basically the equivalent of one scene, and I thought that visually it would be interesting. And so I wrote the short story, and then when it came time to do the directing project for film school, I basically just turned it into instead of that specific scene, I decided to branch out and show the character after that short story. And so I wrote a little tiny scene because we were supposed to write something, new-ish. It could be based on something else, but the idea was to take something from the beginning to the final product by ourselves, like just, do a really quick thing. And the actors didn't have to have anything memorized or anything. We just had to like experience casting and bring them in to do like a table read and then have them do the filming. So it was all a very like little quick process. But it was just so we could see how each piece worked. And so I decided to take from that short story and do the next day. And then it was like two guys talking and just in a therapist office, and they were two friends who hadn't talked in a while, and so things were really awkward. The one guy is a therapist, the other guy thought that he was being interrogated by his friend as a therapist, and it was this whole like interaction between them that was just awkward as hell. And then I ended up writing an entire short film. It was a short film first, like an actual genuine short film. But when I did my table reads, like my writing table, I like to do table reads when I'm writing because it just helps a lot. And so I did a table read in the writing process right after I finished one of the drafts. And all the actors I got really good feedback from. We all like stayed after the reading and discussed it and stuff like that. And the feedback that I got from the actors was that the characters were too interesting to be stuffed into a little pocket of time in the short film. And so me and my sister, and then at the time my production designer Gary, who's awesome at what he does, he was also my roommate for a long time. So the three of us just like kind of kept getting together and having these meetings about what could we do to enhance the characters. And we found that we really couldn't in the format that it was in. And so So this was just in March, I think. I think it was.
Whoa, really? So a few months?
It was. Sorry, wait, hold on. It was not March of this year. It was March of last year.
Oh, okay. But still, though, for a series.
Not that impressive. It was March of last year.
Yeah.
And then but then from March until August, I wrote all the episodes. And then in September, we did our first casting call.
Got it.
For the current cast. Last summer, I spent all last summer doing Zoom table reads to work out writing and story kinks. Because I always found that like it was always really helpful to have that kind of feedback from people who are reading it. And so, and then, yeah, so it kind of, that went from that, came 5 episodes. Each episode focused on a different person. In similar points in time, so we can kind of see like from their perspective what was happening and that kind of thing.
Right. And does it have like I mean, I'd assume there's like an overarching like theme between all those. I'd assume vignettes, like they're just sort of their own little kind of like slice of the universe, like their own stories basically of just, what they're going through in that day or moment.
They are, but they kind of mingle. So it's like
they all mingle.
Getting the so it was getting the timeline was like the hardest part. Was getting the timeline of events correct. Like I looked like a crazy person because I had just year because it goes through on about a span of 8 years, and then I had just like all the events that happened in that year from every single episode, and I would line them up because they're mentioned throughout the other episodes, and then everybody like just consistently like one of them, one event happens in one episode, and the next episode there's an event right before or right after, so you kind of see like other people's perspective on the same events without repeating the exact same event.
Got
if
it.
that makes any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Well, you don't want to keep repeating the same shit every single episode.
Right. They've already seen it, but there are like everything alludes to these different events, and it's very clear that these events happened around each other.
Right. Okay. And so they're still connected somewhat. I assume. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Leon said, sounds interesting. Continuity on overlapping episodes must be difficult. Oh, yes.
It is. And it will be. It will be very difficult. That's why there will be a script supervisor and there will be people looking out for all of this. Because it definitely is going to be one of those things where I already knew that it was going to be a challenge. But apparently I like challenges a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge for me. Yeah, it was a challenge for me to write a feature, and that took me 3 fucking years to do. So writing a series that's a pretty big feat. And to have these interconnecting stories and whatnot. I mean, sure, like mistakes happen, but like you said, you got the script supervisor, you got all sorts of other help along the way. I mean, that's the sky's the limit, dog. That's awesome. I hats off to you and the crew for conjuring that up. How fast do you plan on shooting this, or have you already shot?
No, we're hoping for November.
Gotcha.
But it kind of all depends on just how things go. We are definitely way in the clear strike-wise, but it's one of those things I'm also just keeping an eye on.
Oh, right, yeah.
November. But the idea is November. It's been November for over a year now. We've had that kind of blocked out. A lot of outdoor scenes, and we're in Austin, Texas. So.
Oh, this is the wrong time to shoot. Yeah. No, I get that. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've been over an hour now. So Christine, I guess we're gonna have to end this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
let's get out of here.
Yes.
Taylor, we want you to come back. We want you to talk about more of the show, and hopefully there won't be a strike where half the episode we're just going to be talking about that. So we appreciate.
Okay.
I warned Taylor.
Yeah, she told me.
Yeah.
And I was cool
because
with
the thing is, I also don't want people out there to think that like, hey, she's crossing the picket lines because she's working on an independent project, and there is a lot of misunderstanding out there. I see it all over social media. People who are trying to put out independent content, and then there's a slew of comments being like, "That's wrong. He shouldn't be doing that because we're on a strike and everything." And I think it's important for like there to be understanding all around as to what people are trying to do, and the last thing you want people to think Taylor is doing is crossing picket lines, because she's not. Because independent films, truly independent projects, if you go and read on SAG's rules, will not violate picketing
the agreement.
agreement. So yes, that's why I want to spend. It's such a huge thing happening right now. So yes.
It is. So reserve your judgments, please, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you. And that's about it. I mean, you know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Get Reelisms Podcast. You pick up your book today, right now, at getreelisms.com.
Yeah.
You do it right now. If you know what's good.
Yeah, they're out now.
And the hats, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
Hats.
We got the hats.
Shirt.
We got there's all sorts of merch on the getreelisms.com website. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So don't waste any time.
Yeah.
Pick it up today. Taylor, thank you again for being part of the show. We want you to come back.
Thanks for having me.
We want you to come
I
back. Hit us
will.
up.
Anytime.
Comments really quick, just because it's interesting. Leon said, Some UK high budget stuff hasn't been shut down, as apparently it's illegal for our unions to strike in solidarity with Americans. Oh, very interesting. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I was reading which ones haven't shut down. It's because they're not with SAG, they're with the union,
Equity.
the European, the equity. That was it. Yeah. So, yes, that was what it was.
Yes.
There's apparently a separate actors union in the UK that's not SAG, so that's why. If you see certain projects that are still being filmed abroad, that is why, because they are separate from SAG. So I think in conclusion, before you post anything that may be ignorant, you should go and just read up on stuff and verify that what you are saying is actually true.
I wish I could tell the internet to stop being ignorant.
Oh, yeah, that's a lost cause. Why should we waste our breath?
Can you imagine?
Just
Hey,
on the internet. Like, on people in general, we should definitely educate. But, like, just be like the internet, that's a lost cause.
internet,
Yes.
stop being stupid. Please.
All right, I do have to go, guys.
I do too.
Get off of here.
So,
Yes,
thank you so much,
everyone.
Taylor. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everybody. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for participating.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah.
That's it for us. Goodbye, Instagram. Thank you so much. Bye now.